welcome to the Stop Shitting All Over Yourself podcast. Today I am here with Dr. I realized, is it Sheva Guy or Sheva Guy?
Sheva Guy.
Sheva Guy, thank you, Sheva Guy. I should have asked that question beforehand. This is actually the first time that we are meeting in person. And Sheva is amazing. I met her because she invited me to, I saw a post of yours on LinkedIn, and then I saw that you ran a group called This Is What Professionals Look Like. And I loved it. Absolutely loved that group. Fabulous. And I joined it and then invited everyone I know to join it. So welcome, Sheva. How are you doing today?
I am good. So the group is actually #InkedIn. So
LinkedIn.
it is
Okay.
InkedIn. Yeah, so
LinkedIn.
it's InkedIn. So people ask me a lot. They're like, "Is that misspelled?" I'm like, "No, it's InkedIn."
Love it. Love
We're
it.
inked on LinkedIn. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Fabulous. So I'm curious. So first of all, I'd love for people to get to know a little bit about you. So let me tell you a little bit of sort of about my framework and how I approach the world, just to so we can sort of set the stage a little. I'm autistic, neurodivergent, Pakistani. I moved here when I was 22 years old. Had a little bit of culture shock. And I am chronically ill and struggle a lot with maintaining my energy and health levels. And so that's the framework from which sort of like I have to live my life in terms of going to work and getting up every day and so on and so forth. I'd love for you to share some of that as well with our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So my framework. So I've generalized anxiety disorder, probably like the first thing that I knew was a thing for me. Also, I'm diagnosed with OCD, so I've got GAD. I say GAD, OCD, ADHD, PhD, because I've got all the things.
Let's just add the PhD. You
Let's
know
add
what?
the
I'm gonna go
PhD.
get a PhD.
So I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and obsessive compulsive disorder when I was younger. I guess in my early 20s probably. And I always thought like there's something else going on here. And once I finally got my anxiety in check, I got diagnosed with ADHD and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the missing piece that I've been dealing with my entire life. And then also, and this might be a trigger warning for some, but I also am recovering from an eating disorder. And that's something that I do talk about. I do talk about a lot in terms of shedding light on like what professional means and why I am inked and what is professional really should be. So all of those things are what I bring to the table.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious because I would love to hear your perspective on this. Like, what is professional? Like, and I'm curious to know, like, not how you see it right now, but like what when people say that's unprofessional, like, what do they actually mean?
Yeah. So first of all, since you said I'm allowed to cuss, fuck professionalism, fuck what professional is, fuck all of it, because it's this word, like it is this word that nobody really knows what it means. It's so subjective in a way, but it's also so very clearly rooted in white supremacy. And when I say rooted in white supremacy, I mean rooted in racism, classism, sexism, the patriarchy, heteronormativity, all of it. Because when we think about professionalism and the roots of professionalism, and my perspective is in the United States. I've been in the Midwest. I've been in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been here my whole life. When we think about the workplace and the traditional professional business workplace, very suit and tie, buttoned up, and who's allowed to wear the suit and ties, who's the one, who's in the corner office. It's the white guys with the ties, right? And so that's kind of what I see when I hear professional. I'm like, that's what people see, right? And I've gotten in trouble for looking unprofessional and speaking unprofessional. And I think professionalism, it's not just, it's a lot, it encompasses a lot of different things. It's the way we dress,
Mm-hmm.
it's how we present ourselves, it's how we speak. And all of that is 100% rooted in white supremacy, again, racism, classism, sexism, all of that. Is where that kind of concept comes from. It's that expectation to form to the white male ideal. And if you don't, and the purpose of it is so we can be held, so they can have power over us. It's like it's an oppressive system, right? So that's how I see it when I hear the word professionalism or professional in the traditional sense, I guess.
You know, it's so interesting because I think that, like, if you were to ask somebody and say, okay, tell me about, so they're like saying you're not professional, and you say, okay, what is professionalism? They'll say things like, well, you have to talk a certain way, dress a certain way. And what's interesting is that there's like you made a post on LinkedIn the other day that I'm going to share the link with in the show notes, that it basically showed the iceberg of racism, or where, like, there was like the top part, which is like the socially unacceptable parts of white supremacy, and then there's like so many things sort of under there. I almost feel like if you use the iceberg analogy, there's the description of what is professional that goes at the top, where it's like, the suit and tie and the way you talk and so on and so forth. And then underneath the iceberg, what I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize is that in order to say have a suit and a tie, you have to have access. You have to have, and not necessarily just access to a suit and a tie, because then it becomes, where did you get your suit and your tie from? Right? Yeah. Which, because there's always another level of something that you have to get to be able to achieve the level of professionalism. So, like, if you look at somebody who is at like the VP, president level, who's buying $10,000 suits, right? That's sort of like the quote unquote professional ideal, right? Well, if I'm buying my suit from Filene's basement, I may still be wearing a suit, but is it suity enough?
That's a good point. Like, professional enough. Like, yeah. It still has those levels. Absolutely.
And I hadn't thought of that until you said that, and I started to think about it, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm starting to get a feeling about my 20-year-old self here. Because I remember buying my first suit from Filene's basement, and it didn't fit right. Yeah. And so I had to, like, oh my God, I felt so awkward, and it was absolutely ridiculous. So I'm curious. Now, when you first moved into the professional environment from school, and you're a teacher, you're a teacher and a consultant.
So I'm a full-time consultant, but then I also teach. Yeah, my background is in higher education, so I still say that I'm fairly new to consulting. I've been in management consulting, operations consulting, change management, in the change management realm for like a year and a half now. So I still, like, my core, I feel like I still came from higher ed.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you struggle? Like, how did it, when you were well, first of all, were you inked up when you first started in your career, or did that, obviously we eventually all gain our tattoos over time, right. But, like, how visibly inked up were you when you started?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and that's another thing. Like, I'm so getting into this corporate speak thing. That's a great question. I can't get it out.
Question, Vanessa. Thank you.
I can't get it out of my fucking mouth. I can't. Like, there's these things, and I have a series, Corporate Wordy Wednesdays, where I make fun of these phrases that I hear all the time in the corporate world. Love it. And
I'm just gonna put this on, and you can't be corporate now because.
Okay, awesome. I don't know where it just sometimes it just slips. It just slips out. I'm like, oh my God, where did that? I'm like. Where did that come?
Was that me?
I'm like, smaller. It's the devil on my shoulder from corporate. Saying like, that's a great question. Say cadence. Okay, so when I first started, my journey is like a little bit different into the working world because I got my PhD. So I was in school for a very long time, right? Like, I was in grad school, and to be quite honest with you, like, I was told growing up, like, I was raised in an Eastern European Jewish household, and it was, you either be you're a doctor or you're a lawyer.
Doctor, accountant?
Doctor, lawyer. No, I don't think that was an option. It was doctor or lawyer. It was doctor or lawyer. Maybe that has changed. I'm estranged from my parents, so I haven't had a conversation with them about how that. I know this is like a total side conversation, and I know we're riffing, and I love that, but the amount of people that are like, I don't care for your family, you're toxic, and I'm done, is just beautiful. It's just so beautiful.
It really is. So much. It is okay to ditch your family, people.
Yes. People always say, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, why are you sorry? My life is so great. Like, what are you talking about? Better. My life is better. So it was like doctor or lawyer. And so I always like had that perception of like I have to get this higher degree. And I changed my major 3,000 times as one does. I was in psychology, I was in substance abuse counseling. I had did a stint in criminal justice for a hot minute because I was like very like I'm going to reform everything. And I was like 20. So I ended up in a doctoral program. It was an educational community based action research doctoral program. I had still had no idea what I wanted to do, but I was like, I'm just going to stay in school until I figure it out. And that's kind of where I entered into the realm of, participatory work and diversity and inclusion, and I fell into that. And so I've always had, so when I got my first tattoo, which one was it? It was this one. It's like so basic. I like randomly got it one day. I basically started getting tattoos as I made progress in my degree. So I was like, okay, I finished my first year. Let's get a tattoo. I finished this class. Like I finished my literature review. Let's get a tattoo. I finished my comprehensive exams. Let's get a tattoo. And so I was doing it as like these little rewards. It was kind of like spattered here and there. It wasn't like very at first. When I first started getting them, I thought they need to be places where I can cover them up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember when I got my nose pierced and I was still talking to my parents, they were like, "You're never gonna get a job." I was like, "Oh no, I'm never gonna
No
get
one
a job.
will hire you.
No one will hire you. No one will hire you." So that was like always in my head. It was like, "No one
Yeah.
will hire you. No one will hire you. You can get a job at a tattoo shop and that's it." Like I'm like that actually sounds fucking dope, but I'm not artistic enough to do that. I was getting these tattoos in places where I was like, "Oh, I can easily cover this up. I can easily cover this up." I remember before I had any of my tattoos when I was in my master's program, I started them when I was in my doctorate. I had my nose pierced and I was interning at like it was actually really cool. It was a prison, but it was a rehabilitation facility as well. And I worked with women, and it was a really cool place to be. But I remember I still like I put a little band-aid on my nose ring because I was scared, like I felt like I had to. Like I looked like a fucking idiot, but I had no idea. I was 19, like sticking a little band-aid. So yeah, so that was a whole thing. So I always felt like I can do these things, but I have to cover it up. They have to be
Yeah.
in places where I can cover it up. Um, so when I landed my first job, I mean, it was in higher ed. Like, it's different in higher ed.
Mm-hmm.
We are burnt out, we're tired, we work long hours, but also, like, no one gives a fuck what you look like. And
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Like, I say this, like, and I love my job. I do love my job right now. But if they would pay me what I'm making right now, I would go back to higher ed in a heartbeat. They never will. But I just love that culture. I felt like I never had a moment in that life when I worked in higher ed that I thought I couldn't be 100% who I am.
That's amazing.
My honestly, like my mantra was like, what are they gonna do? Fire me? Because they can't. Like it's almost impossible. I wasn't even faculty, and it's still like impossible. Because
If you're
I did
faculty, it's impossible.
impossible. And that's the thing is like it wasn't like I was doing anything wrong. I'm really good at what I do. Like I was really good at my job. And I was like, okay, so if I look like this, what are you going to tell me? It's because of how I look or how I
Yep.
speak? Because I am way better at this than anybody else you could hire for this particular job. So I worked in grad affairs, I worked in faculty affairs, I did a lot of diversity and inclusion, equity and inclusion work, and I loved it. And I never felt like I had to hide who I was, but it got to a point where I went from 0 to 3 kids in 3 months. I started fostering my 2 sons. I had my daughter, and I was like, I need something else. I need a flexible job. I need
Mm-hmm.
something different. So I left, and I went into I had no idea what I was in for because I had this luxury of being in higher ed my whole career.
Yeah.
So I went into corporate healthcare doing diversity and inclusion work. I got fired after 2 months for probably many reasons, but like I didn't fit, and essentially I didn't fit what they thought professional was supposed to be
Yeah.
like, and they were looking for a reason. So that was the point. I didn't even have my chest at the time. I
I love
had
your chest tattoo, by the way. It's fab.
Thank you. I had my sleeve, and after that, I said, I will not work for a place that does not see me as who I am and does
Mm-hmm.
not accept me as who I am. I'm not doing it. So,
I think that's such it's seeing me who I am, accepting me who I am. So when I first started in my career in the 20s, we're in the 20s now. I know when I was in my
20s.
20s, I only had the one. I had Sylvester. I don't know if you can see me. Like he's
It's kind
old.
of hard to see, but
So
yeah.
it's impossible to see, but he's really old now, and he's also a little bit like covered up.
Hmm.
But he was the first one that I got, and I had the same philosophy that I had to be able to cover them up. Because it
Yeah.
was Boston in general tends to be very conservative in terms of professionalism and whatnot. I think that so at the time there was definitely a ceiling. I couldn't move any further than a certain ceiling based off of the way that I wanted to show up, because I call everybody dude. So like dude, everybody's a dude, right? Whether you can be a chief, a president, and you're dude. You're an admin. Everyone's a dude, unless someone's like, listen, there's a gender issue. Don't call me
Yeah.
that. Great, then I'll make the change. But
It
most of
reminds me of Good Burger. Did you ever watch Good Burger growing up? Oh my God. It was Keenan and Kel, like for all that, like total, like I'm such a 90s kid. It was like, I always tell my kids, I'm like, he said, I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all
yeah, okay,
dudes.
yes, I'm a dude. He's a dude. I've actually seen that thing. I'm a
We're
dude. He's a
all
dude. She's a dude. They're a
dudes.
dude. Everybody's a dude. Dude.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Big
Yeah.
Lebowski's dude. For me, it started with it was Bill and Ted. So it was like every
Yeah.
dude, right? Everyone's dude. Oh no, that's the other two, Wayne's World.
Wayne's
So,
World,
but
yeah.
it was Bill and Ted for me though. I never was into Wayne's World, but that's not Soup's professional. And so the challenge that I had was that I was really good at my job also. There was an expectation of what people who are professional look like, act like, speak like, so on and so forth. And I remember when I didn't get a promotion, which at the time it devastated me, but when I look back, it's honestly the greatest thing that ever happened to me. But it made me realize that, like you said, I will not be able to be who I am inside and also be here. Which is, like, what's interesting about that is that is how so many people of color feel in any environment that they're
All the
in,
time. Yep.
that I cannot be the person that I want. So when I was when I first came from Pakistan, I never wore a chadar here. I don't know where my chadar is. I brought it with me. I love it, but I had a lot of friends who did want to cover their faces and their heads, and they found it harder to get jobs because of and so they could not express themselves for who they are. And so I'm actually interested because you do this work for a living as a consultant. So when you go into organizations and you do this kind of work, what are some of the questions that you ask, or you ask people to ask themselves? Because like most of these places think they're doing a good job, right? They're like, oh, I've got a
Yeah.
DEI program, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I'm doing what you want, right? What are some of the questions that you ask people that make them sort of realize that, oh, you know what I'm doing maybe isn't enough, if they're like on the cusp but they're still in that defensive space?
Yeah, and I actually I need to credit this person, so I will send you the link. But yeah, I don't know how to pronounce her name. It's Dafina Lazard Stewart. So it's a conversation. I have it actually behind me, between diversity, equity, and inclusion and justice. This is how I explain, because a lot of folks like think interchange the terms diversity, equity, and inclusion. So this is one way that I actually explain what these words actually mean and distinguish them, right? But what I love this conversation. And so basically what it says is, so diversity is saying, so who's in the room? Just in general, so I always say picture a conference table, because we always say who's at the table, okay? So picture a conference table, who is there? Who's at the table? Okay? So then inclusion, so equity is saying, and I don't want to butcher it, so equity is saying who's trying to get into the room but can't.
Okay.
So this is who's in the room, who can't get into this room. Inclusion is saying, have everyone's ideas in this room been heard? And then justice is saying, whose ideas are not being taken seriously because they're not part of the majority. And so that's how I get folks to flip the script. And I say, okay, so you're saying you've got like this program, you have this blah, 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 blah. So part of, this is like a random example, but I'm an Oracle consultant, so I do change management, but we do Oracle implementations. And so it's big, like cloud-based, sort of like human resources software, finance software, that kind of, I'm not a tech person. But one of the things that I say is, who's at the table? All the folks that, I do higher ed consulting. So we've got our staff, we got our faculty, we've got our grad students at the table, we got our administrators at the table. These are the folks that are at the table. And I'm like, well, think about who's actually on your staff. Is your janitorial staff at the table? Is your event staff at the table? Is your staff that's actually running this place at the table? No, it's the folks you would that you would think of as being at the forefront when they're not all the end users, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's thinking more critically and more holistically about who is actually here and who can't get here and why.
Yeah.
And it's critically asking those questions throughout. It is, and I love that exchange between diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I think it really demonstrates not only the difference between them, but how we're actually typically so focused on that diversity piece, like who is at the table, that we don't think any deeper of who can't get to the table,
Yep.
who's at the table but don't feel like they're taken seriously, who's at the table but doesn't feel safe to say anything.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter who's at the table if the people at the table are being erased.
That is oh my God, dude, that's like such a key area, because like if you don't feel safe to speak, then these people aren't actually at the table. Like they
No.
are, you could take that person out and put a cardboard cutout of whatever you want there, because if that
Yeah.
person doesn't feel like they can speak.
Yeah. Take a
And I
picture of
think
it. That's what they want to do. Take a picture of it and say, look at our diverse committee.
and this is what I find really interesting, because that's where I think things are getting stuck right now, is the operationalization of diversity. Because like, so I read, do you follow, oh my God, Mo Motivate on Instagram? She's amazing.
I'm such a loser and I'm not on Instagram.
Oh no, that's amazing. Actually, I used to be on social media. Like I was a social media marketing coach, and
Okay.
I got to a point where I hated social media so much that I literally shut everything down and just stopped. And so now people who are
Good.
not on social media, I just mad respect, because I'm like, dude, you never got on it, and so you don't have like it's not like it has its tentacles in you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
It's
fabulous.
funny, like I deleted my Facebook when I was a freshman in college, which is when like
Oh my God.
everybody, which I know, which is like when everyone was like on, like that's when people were on Facebook and
You were off of Facebook before being off of Facebook was
was a
cool.
thing. Yeah, hello, I'm an off of Facebook hipster. Like these Gen Zers have no idea who they're dealing with. I've been off of Facebook before, so I'm not like I actually do. This is actually really funny. I do have a fake book for the Ohio Renaissance Festival, but that's neither here nor there. So I do
I mean, it's
technically.
fair.
It's fair.
If you're gonna have a Facebook for something, it would either be that for me or Star Trek. Like one of the
Right. Exactly. So I don't have a Facebook. I don't have an Instagram. I watch videos on TikTok, but they're like lame, like mom talk videos, like parent talk. And then, what else, man? I mean, I'm on Reddit, but like I'm a millennial, of course I'm on
Of
Reddit,
course you're
but I
Reddit.
don't do anything. And then LinkedIn, I don't know how it happened. I just started writing
Dude,
shit.
your LinkedIn game is fucking on point.
I
Like,
have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. I just
oh, it's
started writing
amazing.
shit.
Oh, no, you're amazing. Fab. I see you all the time.
But
Um,
yeah, no Instagram.
no, it's totally fine. So, but she brought up she said something really, like, eye-opening, right? She said, quit trying to add color to your pictures. We're not a fucking crayon box.
Yes.
And I was like, I know, brilliant, right? And I think that it made me, and so I read this a long time ago, and it made me really think about where these challenges are coming from. And it goes back to, people are very concerned about the diversity part, but they're missing the point about why you want diversity, right? So it's like, it's not diversity for diversity's sake. It's diversity because having a texture of ideas and thoughts and people makes everyone better. Like,
Yep.
that's it. It's a simple statement, right?
Right.
But they think it's to check a box, and so it's not. It's hard to imagine why you would need to take any additional steps once you've got somebody if they're in the picture. Like,
They're in the picture. And what's interesting is, and I hate having to do this, but really what it like it is empirically correct. It is facts that diverse people at the table, however you want to say it, that diverse people in organizations, if you have a diversity of any, if you have, your ideas are more innovative. That's period, the end. The ideas are going to be more innovative and you're going to do better and you're going to make other people better. And really what it is, and the only reason why I say it this way is because consultants like to hear this, it's the business case, man. Like, you want to make money? You want to make money? You need more people here. These white guys aren't going to cut it anymore. They're
Yeah.
not coming up with the diverse ideas. They're the ones that are saying this is how it's always been and this is how we're going to do it because this is what I know.
I hate
No,
that fucking sentence more than anything in the world.
me
This is the way it's
too.
always been, or
Yep.
this is the way we've always done it. It's like I can't even. It's like ah,
Yeah. I'm the one that's like, well, why?
why? Yeah,
Give
exactly
me one
why.
good reason. Have you reassessed? Like, I'm always going to say why.
I always like to ask the question. It's like, okay, well, if this is the way you've always done it, then that must mean it works really well. Explain to me how it works, why it works, and what the benefits are, and then
Mhm.
we'll keep doing it, right? And maybe it is the way we need to keep doing things, right? But like, just because and I think that's such a important thing to note is that anytime somebody says that, it's usually a red flag for me, right?
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
because then that means you don't actually know why you're doing something.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm curious. And I don't know how to say the name of your certification for change management. How do you say it?
Pro sci.
ProSci. Thank you. I went to their website and I was like, "Ooh, I love this," and then it made me want to do that. But I'm curious. So you go into organizations, and now classic. This is classic because I've seen this in many organizations that I've been in as a consultant over the years, doing other things, not as a change manager. Oh
Yeah.
my god. The statement I hear more than anything is, I guess it would change matter is, oh no, I embrace change. I love change. We're all
Ah,
about change here.
sorry.
But then the behavior, because you know where I'm going with this, okay? Because they're like, I fucking love change, and then like every single thing you suggest, oh, we can't do that. No, we can't do
It's like that quote, and I know it's just like cheesy, but it's like, "Oh, I love change." You go first.
that.
It's funny, and the thing that I'm really grappling with right now that's also so funny and not surprising is, I am one of my niche is really trying to make sure that we're intentionally bringing equity and inclusion into change management because in my opinion, they're the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same thing. Our equity and inclusion efforts are change management efforts. Our change management efforts are equity and inclusion efforts. It's
Yeah.
a people thing. It's people. And change, it's just so funny to see how much, because like ProSci, they have their methodology and it works. Like, I mean, it works, but there's always things I'm always like, why? It can be better. It can always be better. Change management people, they don't want to change. They don't want to change either. They don't want to change
Okay,
their
well,
methodology. They're like, well, they're like, we go into these organizations, like, we talk about change and we have big picture and why people don't want to change. And I'm like, well, maybe we should change our methodology. How fucking dare you?
we don't need to
We
change.
don't do that. And I'm empathetic about it because I get it. Like, I understand we're all human and we are resistant to change, and that is a fact.
And I'm glad you said that because, like, biologically, if we were not wired to hate change, we would not have evolved as a species because we all would be dead. Because back in the day when there were only 1,300 people on the planet, the fact that we could identify a change in the weather and identify that something dangerous was coming is what kept us alive as a
Yeah.
species. But I think we try to pretend like we don't have that biological imperative, and it's like we have to accept that we do not like change.
Yep.
We can accept that it's good for us, but we can also accept we don't like it and that we need to do some work to work through whatever that discomfort is. So, how do you what are some of the things that you say or work with people to help them bridge that space?
Yeah, I think, and it's not, I don't say anything. And this is where you have to and it's hard because you have to get people to get there
Yeah.
on their own. You have to get that buy-in. Um, but you also have to make sure they know, like, if this change is happening, like, it's happening, especially if it's like a tech implementation, like, this is happening.
Yeah.
So, but we need to figure out like, make how it's happening as inclusive and as people oriented and participatory as possible. We want you to be a part of that change and
Yeah.
tell us, what are you afraid of? How do we mitigate that? What are things that you're nervous about that you think leadership isn't ready for? Like, how do we train them? All those things. And I kind of think about it, and this is also going to sound silly, but I think about it where, I'm trying to get my 3.5-year-old to eat anything. Anything. Just fucking eat something. Just eat something. And I'm like, instead of saying, "Oh, do you want to eat?" No. If I say, "Do you want to change?" Absolutely not. Okay.
Right.
But we can control how we do it. So I say, "Okay, do you want to eat a cheese stick or do you want to eat a thing of fruit snacks because I'm a great mom and that's what I'm feeding my child. But it's like that's a fed child is a happy child. So that's what's like I give them the choice. So it's like you're eating.
Yeah.
Like this change is happening. But let's work together to figure out how we can make it as painless and as much of an opportunity for you as it can be. How do we, and it's that buy-in. And again, I know that's corporate speak, but it's true. Like you, if people aren't on board with it, they're they're gonna leave the organization potentially because they're not gonna be happy, or they're just gonna completely dissociate and not do their jobs well. And that's what we want to avoid. We want to work with people towards change as opposed to saying this change is happening and this is how it's happening. No one wants to be told what to do.
It's true.
I don't.
Oh my God. I was an adolescent until I was 37, so I really don't like to be told what to do at all.
And I'm
even
currently
now, like,
dealing with like a burgeoning preteen, and it's a struggle. So,
and if you're like autistic, or then you have defiance, right? So I had a lot of defiance within me, like, or because it's like if I didn't understand why, right? So like you'd have to
it's an
sort of
ADHD
explain it
thing
to me.
too.
Yeah,
Yep.
ADHD. You know, I have I have what I hate this. I don't hate this word really. ADHD.
ADHD.
I fucking hate the word. I think it's a terrible word. I mean, I love my superpowers that I have because of it, but the word is just stupid.
I know. I see it, and that sounds bad too because I see it, and I'm like, can we
Can
really?
we not?
Can
Can we have another word, please?
another
That's not so
word?
awful.
Yeah.
So I can never remember which one is where my defiance comes from, but like I have to know why. And like, and a lot of times then it's like, you know, then it's almost combative. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about your kids and I'm like, boy, are you in for it? Because, you know, they're, you've got the preteen who, you know, if you have any neurodivergence, then they're going to be, and you're going to understand it because you're going to be like, well, I get it. I would ask the same question. So now I have to actually answer. So you're like, God damn. I love, so, you know, you mentioned corporate speak, which I fucking hate, and you hate it too, but there's
It's funny though. It is
it's
funny
also, but I
though.
think it's also the language that people understand. So it's like, it's something
Yeah.
that like I've been thinking a lot about. I used to teach marketing,
Mm.
and one of the things, basically everything's marketing. You know, you're trying to market the cheese stick to your kid.
Yep.
The story I used to give was when my brother was little, he didn't want to eat broccoli, right? And me saying you need to eat broccoli because it's healthy for you is not going to convince him to eat the broccoli.
Nope.
But me turning it into little trees that are running away from his sadistic desire to murder them got him very excited to eat the trees. And they were like, oh, don't kill me. But he's like, oh, I'm going to eat you now. And it was great, right?
Yeah,
So it was
Bluey got
really...
my kid to eat asparagus. Like Bluey knows what's up.
Did he kill the asparagus? Were they like
I
all
was like,
hers?
well, my husband's a stay-at-home dad, so he knows more of the storylines and probably can recite every single episode. I think the asparagus was like a magic wand or something. I'm not entirely sure if this gets put on the podcast, this quote about Bluey, and I get put on blast by Bluey fans. I'm so sorry. I am seeing Bluey live on Thursday though, so that's happening.
Oh my God, how exciting.
I'm very
Oh,
excited.
Bluey. This must be a parent thing.
It's a kid show for parents.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that basically the kids can watch it, but the parents can get something out of it too.
It's great.
Got it. Okay, I'm with
I
you.
think
Little, like,
whether you
Lamb
have
Chop
kids or
Power
not,
Rangers
I
and
think you
little
would love
kids.
it. Anybody would love it. It's
Yeah,
just a great show.
fabulous. God, when I think of the shit that we watched when we were, you must have watched Barney as a kid.
I did.
You did.
I did.
Yeah, my brother did too.
I have an old puppet. It's a Baby Bop puppet. And my daughter fucking loves it. She won't watch it, thank God. She was like, I'm not watching this
That is
shit. But she
terrifying.
loves the puppet. I don't. Yeah.
It is. You know, I remember so vividly those days. But going back to what you were saying earlier about the business case
Hmm.
is you know, I think that actually no, wait, hold on. I want to go to something else first. Is the opportunity that was I actually like that better. So you were talking about how when you're working with staff, you really want to figure out how can we turn this into an opportunity for you, and that's actually one of the things that I talk about a lot in terms of when I coach or anything in general is how can you turn whatever it is into an opportunity for you. So I really love this. Can we dive into that a little bit more? And like in terms of like, do you work with people in terms like when you're having these conversations in terms of helping them to navigate the bridge? Like, okay, this is an opportunity for you because like, how do you help them shift that framework? Oh, I love it. Delicious.
It's so funny that you're saying this because the reason why I laugh about the bridge thing is because I actually literally am giving a presentation today about, so we have and this is a tech implementation, so we've got our project team who's implementing the technology, and we've got our end users, how do we get them to the project team to the end? And literally I didn't create this graphic, but I still love it. It's a bridge, and the bridge is change management. Like change management is how we get there. It sounds so cheesy, but it's true. It's like we can't, when I think about change management and how I describe it is, let's say there's this big change that happens overnight. You wake up, all of a sudden you're using a new software and that's it.
Jesus.
No training, no feedback, no questions, no preparations. All of those things is what change management does. And now I forget the original question because I got excited about the bridge.
Oh yeah, no, it was so like I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh my God, this sucks, and you're like, no, this is an opportunity. How do you help me see it as an opportunity?
Yes. Great question. So, God damn it, I said it. Fuck. I said great question.
Great question. Thanks, Sheva.
So,
Thank you. I know.
yeah.
I appreciate that.
So I actually had a meeting with someone who, and he's like the sweetest guy ever. Such a good, like really a good guy, but he's like a career consultant, and every question that got asked in this meeting, great question. That's a great question. So what I do, and this goes back to my doctoral days, is my doctorate is it's not in a specific content area, right? It's in a methodology. It's inclusive methodologies and participatory methodologies. And so everything I do is rooted in participatory methods. And when I say participatory methods, I mean in research, because this is where it's rooted. It's rooted in research. What you're studying, the people that are in the population that you're looking at, they're the experts. Like we see them as the experts. They are the experts. They have the knowledge. They know what needs to change. I am a facilitator of that change. I've got a bunch of tools in my toolkit that can say these are the things that we can use to get you there, but you are the content experts. And that's how I go in any change implementations. This is a partnership. This isn't me, the consultant or the researcher or whatever, swooping in and saying this is what's best for your organization. I know nothing about your organization. I need you to tell me. Mm-hmm. I need to figure out how to be immersed in this culture. And the only way I can do that is for you to be my partners in this. So that's why I do everything in a participatory manner and working together with people throughout the process. So I'm not just going to say, this is how we're going to communicate to the organization. I'm going to say, what channels are best? What do people like? What do they need? What do they need for training? What does your audience look like? And I don't do anything without that partnership. I'm never going to be that person that comes in and says, this is what's best for your organization, because I do not know your organization. You have to tell me, and I rely on you as that content expert. Mm-hmm. You have that expertise. You're the ones that know. I'm the one that can help you figure out how to get there. I'm the one that can give you a bunch of tools for training, but I need to know what kind of training works best for you guys. I can get you there. I can bring these methods in, but I need to know what works for you. So I see myself as having like this arsenal of methods to help people make the change happen and see and get to that point. And when people feel like, and when they know, not just feel like they're a part of the process, not just gathering feedback and saying, okay, we gather feedback for the sake of gathering feedback, like the check in the box thing. Mm-hmm. I'm gathering feedback. I'm taking that feedback. I'm using that feedback. I'm showing you how I'm using that feedback and how we're changing. And people get on board because they are part of the process, as opposed to on the sidelines watching it happen. An example that I use too, like I'm even participatory when I teach my classes. I've built my syllabus with my students before. I tell my students, what assignments do you think are best for you for this class? So it makes a lot of students uncomfortable. Why? Because they're not used to that. They're used to a professor coming in and saying, this is what you're doing in this class. Do this paper, do this, do this, do this, do this. So that vagueness and that ambiguity is really hard for them. But once they get past it, they're like, holy shit, I can make this class what I want it to be.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. And so when I gather feedback, like halfway through the semester, I'm gathering feedback. I gather the feedback and I say, this is what you told me, and this is how I'm changing things because of what you told me. And I'm showing you that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, is making sure people are involved. I got so excited talking about this.
Oh my God, no, that's amazing. I love it. So, because, one of the challenges that I had over the years is I worked in many, many organizations who were not ready for the change that they, it's always software. So I do a lot of software implementations.
And that's what I do at my job. Yeah.
And they're almost never ready, and they almost never want to spend the time necessary to be able to prep, to be able to have a good onboarding. And I think that, oh my God, hold on. Dude, there is a fucking hummingbird right outside.
Oh my God.
I gotta tell my wife.
Do it.
Hummingbird is outside. Yeah, it's somewhere on the thing. I don't know, it's on the porch. There. Sorry.
No, you're good. We have a little
Oh my.
hummingbird feeder. We get so excited. We don't see them often, so.
Oh, neither do we, and it's so exciting. And since she started transitioning, we've become crazy lesbians who love birds. We are diving into our lesbian lifestyle. Like we like
I just
so.
watched a video. I don't know if you watch any like of Ryan George's videos either on TikTok or YouTube. Okay, so he does like the first person to ever, and I just watched a video. This is the first person to ever own a bird, and he's like, I put this bird. I put there. The dude comes. He's like, what is this? And he goes, this is my friend, and I am holding him in captivity. He didn't cost anything. I just caught him, but the cage I built him. I'll send it to you. It was,
That's
I just
amazing. I
watched
know
it.
absolutely. I will
So
follow that
funny.
person. Love it. Love it. Love it.
I used to keep chickens. Fun fact. So.
My sister keeps chickens, and then oh my god, one day she came out and a chicken had been murdered by some sort of
Oh, that
creature.
happened.
Oh, she was very upset. Well, her kid found it was a whole thing, and it does happen, circle of life and all that.
Yeah.
And again, growing up in Pakistan, we've seen many, many, many chickens die, but her kids, it was new for them. So this was like
Yeah.
good.
You got to prepare the kids for
You
that.
gotta
Yeah,
prepare it.
we ended up so we had chickens for a while and we ended up when we started getting licensed for foster care was when we ended up bringing and it sounds like I'm bringing them to a farm. No, we actually brought them to a free range farm.
Did you take them to the farm
them
to
to the
live
farm.
out the rest of their life?
No, we really did. Some of them had chicks, which was so cute because we couldn't have a rooster because we lived in city limits. But so when we started, we had to have a home study for foster care, and our chicken coop. We don't live in this house now, but our chicken coop was not in ordinance because it was too close to the property line. But my neighbor didn't care because she was family, and she was like, "Yeah, that's chill, whatever." So we
But
had
like
to.
for the licensure thing, it matters.
Correct. They were correct. They'd be like they have to figure it. Yeah. So we had to. It was I tell my boys like it was 100% worth it to get rid of the chickens, but stop acting like asshole preteens right now.
You're like, you know
No,
what? All right,
it's
all
so
right.
funny. Yeah.
Can you lay
No.
eggs?
They're always like, "Can we have
Um,
more chickens?" I'm like, "I'm not dealing with that anymore. If you want
no
to
more
clean
chickens.
it and do all that shit, fine, but I'm not doing it." Mm-mm.
That's it's sort of like once you've done it, you're like, yeah, okay, I've done that, I've been there, done that.
Exactly.
Dude, it was so great to have you. I love talking
Thank
about these
you.
things. And you know what? It's funny. Like I was like, oh my god, we only got to like two or three of my questions because we just kept going. Like,
I know. I feel bad. I was like
oh my
going
god,
on
no, no, me too.
tangents.
I was like, this is what happens when you have two people with ADHD who
I
both
know.
know they have ADHD and are totally not masking. Because I don't
Yeah.
mask, you don't
I don't
mask, and
mask
so we're
either.
just like, let's just do the thing. So I love it. I think it's great, and I actually love it when we don't get to any of my questions because that means our conversation was totally organic as opposed to like
Yeah.
I have the questions as a backup. But here's the thing.
Yes.
My industry, research administration, is an industry that is ripe for change management right now. Like they're looking for people like you. So I know that there are going to be many people who listen to this who are like, oh my God, how do I get in touch with Sheva and work with her? So tell me all the things about how people can find you.
Yeah, just so you can direct them to my LinkedIn. I can give you my website too, where people can like book a time to meet with me. But just like reach out on LinkedIn. I'm there.
It's true. It's true. She is there a lot.
Mhm.
And follow her, connect with her, and look at
Thank
all the
you.
stuff that she posts because honestly, dude, your anti-racism content is spot on. It's solid. I love following you. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
I really, really appreciate it. This is